Good morning. This morning I want to talk to you a little bit about WRAP. It stands for Wellness Recovery Action Plan, and it's a plan for your life. It's not just a bunch of rules or things people write down, but it's a plan you're going to develop that you're going to not only have a plan, but it'll become a daily lifestyle to you. Now, I want us to think of this morning as life being a journey. And before we start on the journey, we're going to take WRAP with us. Well, what is WRAP? And how did it come about? Well, WRAP was developed by Dr. Mary Ellen Copeland and a group of other people. Dr. Mary Ellen Copeland had some difficult situations in her life, but she also looked at what her mother had done. Her mother had difficult situations in her life and was told that the obstacles were insurmountable. Yet she recovered and she led a very successful life. Mary Ellen sought out to find out what are those things that people do to stay well and enjoy life. And out of that came WRAP. Now, when we start our journey, we always want to make sure that we're prepared. We want to make sure we're fit. We want to make sure that before we take an adventure, we know where we're going. We want to make sure that we have the finances to complete the journey and the adventure. Same is true. We have what's called the 5 key concepts. And they're the 5 key concepts to lead a well life. They're hope, personal responsibility, education, self-advocacy, and support. Now they're in a special order because you need one before you can have the other for it to really work well. For example, hope. Well, without hope you have nothing. You have despair. And let's face it, hope is great. Knowing that the next day can be better than this day. Knowing that you can recover from any illness. Knowing that you have the ability and the desire and the drive to make today a success. Knowing that you can reach your highest potential, no matter what that potential is. That's hope. But once we have hope, what do we do with it? Say we decide we're going to go on a journey to the Caribbean, or the Caribbean, depending what part of the world you're from. But we're not going to sit at home. We're not just going to wallow in what we have and not get up and go on the trip. Buy the plane ticket and get moving. That's the only way we can enjoy the journey. Same is true with personal responsibility. We got to take responsibility for our daily life and our recovery. And then, education. Well, it might be important to know a little bit about the Caribbean if we're going to go there. Same with recovery. Let's know a little bit about the medications we're taking. Let's know a little bit about the illness or the situation we're dealing with. Let's know a little bit about what we can do to make things better. Now, with the education and everything, let's go to self-advocacy. If you're in a foreign land and you don't know where you're going and you're lost, you're going to find someone to tell you where you need to go. In the same way, we need to take the responsibility and be able to say what our needs are. We need to be able to talk to a doctor and tell them exactly how we're feeling. We need to be able to ask people for the help we need. We need to be able to take the action steps to get our needs met. And then support. Let's face it, I've gone on journeys by myself, and they're no fun. I love having companions with me, people who can enjoy it with me. Well, that's what supports are. People in your life who can help you stay well. People who can take that journey with you. We recommend that you have at least 5, because if one is busy when you want to take your adventure or when you're having a difficult situation, it's great that you have others there for you. Those are the 5 key concepts. Now, let's get ready for that journey. Okay, first thing we're going to do is pack. You're going to put your clothes in your suitcase, You're going to get everything all ready. You're going to have your map. You're going to do all of that packing. Well, we do the same thing. We call it the Wellness Toolbox. And in that toolbox are going to be things that you do to stay well. Things you may have already done, such as get sunlight, eat 3 healthy meals, take your medication, see your doctor, or it may be things that you see other people doing who stay well, like exercising, like reading books, like going to movies that make them feel happy. You know, all of those things can be put on your toolkit. I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. But in that toolkit, you'll have all these different things that you can pull out when you need them. Now let's move on. Once we have everything packed and we're ready to go, we better have an itinerary, something that tells us where we're going to be each day and what we want to do. Otherwise, our journey is going to be haphazard and may be filled with things we don't even want. That is true with our daily maintenance plan. Our daily maintenance plan are those things we have to do every day. For example, get up in the morning at 7:30 every day. Take my medication every day. Eat 3 healthy meals and 3 snacks every day. Get some sunlight every day. Then there may be those things that you need to do, but not all the time. For example, in the journey, you may want, when you're in Rome, to see the Colosseum. So, in your daily maintenance plan, there may be times where you need to see your doctor, your therapist, do your laundry. They might not be daily things, but things you know you need to do to stay well. Now, we're ready to take those adventures. Now, there's lots of different adventures we can take. We could go to Alaska. We could go to the Caribbean. We could go to Greece. But they're all going to be different. Well, in your daily life, your challenges or adventures can be different every day. Let's look at some particular ones. We like to look at some called triggers. Triggers are external events that happen that cause a response, which is normal. But if you continue in it, it may make the situation worse. For example, external events might be something as simple as Aunt Harriet coming to visit. Every time she visits, there's drama. Maybe it's something like an anniversary of a traumatic event, or the occurrence of a traumatic event itself. All of those are triggers, and we need to have a plan. We need to know what we're going to do when those things happen. For example, we may want to say that we're going to call a friend and let them know what's going on. We may have plans that are designed especially for certain things. When Aunt Harriet comes, we may want to have a friend with us. We may want to limit the time frame that we're with her. With an anniversary, we may not want to be alone that day. With a traumatic event, we may want to get support immediately from our friends. That's our action plan. Now let's move on to a different type of adventure. When you're taking a journey, many times you'll find things that keep you from enjoying it. For example, you get sick, you get tired. Things happen. Same is true with us. We call them early warning signs. Maybe you start pulling away from people. Maybe you feel really fatigued, depressed. Maybe you aren't sleeping. Maybe you're getting irritated with people for no reason or pulling away. Those are early warning signs. Now let's see what action plan we can develop for those early warning signs. If we're pulling away, if we see we're starting to pull away from people, we might want to get support right away. If we're finding that we're not sleeping well, we may want to make sure that we're doing everything on our daily maintenance plan. That's always something to look at. You have that plan for a reason. Then you may also want to put in your action plan things that are like making sure that you're getting sunlight, making sure you're getting exercise, anything that will help you with those early warning signs. Now sometimes we find that things start breaking down. We might be in the middle of our journey across the nation and we get a flat tire. Well, we got to fix the flat tire. That's how things are when they're breaking down. Things are getting worse, but we're still in control, but we got to do something, and we got to do it now. At this point, we have to look at what they are. We have to know the signs. If I don't get sleep for more than 3 days, it's breaking down. It's getting worse. If I'm spending large amounts of money, and give it a figure, then I know that things are breaking down, and I need to take a plan. Everyone's signs are going to be different, so you'll want to put down what works for you, or what your signs are. And then you'll want an action plan, but this one's different. We want it to be concise, immediate, and something without very many choices. I am going to call my doctor. I am going to ask them what to do, and I am going to follow through with what they tell me to do. I am going to do my daily maintenance plan. I am going to take my medication. I am going to call someone and get them over here right away. But you know, even with the best intentions, even with the best plans, things happen. On your journey, this car that you are driving, that you just fixed the flat of, now stops. And you can't get it started again. You have to go get help. Same thing is true in the crisis. In a crisis, it's when things have gotten so much that you know someone else needs to take over. Now, in that, you need to know that it's okay. And having a crisis plan is really important because it allows you to stay in control even when you're not. There are 9 parts of a crisis plan, so let's go over these a little bit. And you want to do this when you're well. When you're real well, you want to take it real slow. My crisis plan took me 6 months to complete. And then I change it after each crisis. We'll talk about that later. But the whole key behind it is to know the 9 parts and be able to put them in. Remember what we were talking about earlier? Knowing what you're like when you're well? Well, we'll want to use that again now. We'll want to put into it what we're like when we're well. I'm happy. I talk a lot. I'm fast-paced. I'm quiet. I'm shy. Okay? The reason for those things is if you are in crisis, someone who may not know you may need to use your plan. If someone met me and I'm talking 25 minutes a second, 25 minutes a second, well, that's real fast. But anyway, if I'm talking real fast and moving around and using my hands, someone may think that I have a problem. But that's just me. Or if I'm real quiet, and I'm this way normally, and I don't talk to strangers, someone may think I have a problem. But no, that's just me. So we need to let people know that. Now, when you're making your crisis plan, you also want to look at making sure people understand when it needs to be put in place. What are the signs? The signs may be I'm lethargic, or I'm not talking to anyone, I'm locked in my room for 3 days, I just spent $1,000 that I don't have, I am talking and obsessing about self-harm. Let people know those. Write those down. The next one is supporters. We need to know who we want involved in our plan. It's important that we give a copy to to these people. First ask them. See, let them know what you're doing. Ask them if they would mind being part of your action plan, and give them a copy of your Wellness Recovery Action Plan. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about medication. Making sure that you have your medication listed, your doctors, all of that. We're going to make sure that you know your treatment, that your treatment is written down, what type of treatment you do have, what type of treatment you would be open to, and what type of treatment you don't want. Then also you'll want to put in there the possibilities. In some communities, instead of going to the hospital, there might be community or home care, such as respite centers. Then after that, you'll want to look at treatment facilities. Which ones do you prefer? Which ones don't you want to go to? And then you'll want to look at, boy, these 9 lists is a long list. But you also want to look at who you want to help you. And how are they going to help you? You want to give a list. Maybe you want Susie to feed your dog. Maybe you want Martha to do your bills. So you have all this set up. Now I do want to go back to this section. When we were doing supporters, make sure that you also have in there what to do if there's a disagreement. Who has complete control over that plan? So if there's a disagreement in your supporters, they can change that. Okay, now that we know what we're doing, who's going to do it, and how it's going to happen, we need to know when it's over. And that's the 9th part, is the signs that it's okay to drop the plan, to deactivate it. It might be, I've slept 3 days in my own bed. I'm going back to work on a steady basis. I've been able to take care of my child on a daily basis for 5 days. Okay, all those are signs of that. Now we have one last thing to talk about, and that's the post-crisis plan. When you're in the journey and you come home, boy, it feels good. But you're tired, you're exhausted. You might not be ready to go out dancing that night or go back to work the next day. Same is true after a crisis. You need to know your body. You need to know the signs when it's ready to quit your plan, your crisis plan. You'll need to know what it's like if things start feeling worse. What are you going to do? Because as you know, recovery is not linear. We have ups and downs. And then you're going to want to know a plan of going back to work, of taking care of your kids. How are you going to slowly take over all these duties, and what do you need in place in order to do it? Well, I really appreciate the time you gave me today, and I hope this helps you understand what the Wellness Recovery Action Plan is. Thank you.